So today I will be talking about really breaking down the whole fatigue and really starting to unpack what that actually means with people with FND and break down what this kind of fatigue is all about and what's happening both in the brain and techniques for you to try and avoid the crashes and get into that what they call a boom bust cycle. I'm notorious for going into that boom bust cycle. Today was an excellent example where, although I haven't done very much, I was exhausted by about 10 o'clock. And by 11:30, I was literally falling asleep in the car as we were coming home. I've been training again recently, which I'm really excited about. It's week 3 back at the gym after years. I've been doing Pilates and I've been doing a little bit of the gym in the kind of the either my home gym, which we had, or at kind of the local in the apartments gym, but not at a full-fledged gym where there is a whole stack of sensory overload going on and there's a lot of different equipment. And so after a full day at work, going into that environment has been huge, and there is a process of realignment that needs to happen as part of that process. So, I want to kind of break it down for people because I feel like a huge part of understanding fatigue is actually understanding what's going on in your body. Before FND, I did not realize how much energy your brain consumes. So, those days when you're at work and you literally finish the day and you're like, I'm exhausted, like I'm physically exhausted, but you haven't done anything but sit at your desk. That brain power is like tenfold when you have FND. Doing the smallest tasks consumes so much more energy, and you quite underappreciate all that processing that's happening. And certainly in my lifestyle now, it is really about minimizing the activities that I do to help kind of get through that day and get more of a kind of balance. And that's why the more I do things, that repetitive nature, the more comfortable and less effort that comes off it. I honestly feel like that's why I do so well at work, because I've been doing it for so long. That effort that goes into it is nowhere near as challenging as sometimes learning something new or having to deal with a situation that I haven't done in a long time. But getting back to the whole fatigue side of thing and boom bust, again, this is a term that I had never heard of, but it is certainly a really important trap that people with chronic illnesses, as well as obviously functional neurological disorder, which in itself is a brain disorder. The boom bust trap is the boom day is when you wake up feeling relatively good and you're like, oh my God, I can get everything done while I have this amazing energy that I don't normally have. And so you do your house cleaning, you do your errands, you go to the gym, you do all the things that you haven't been doing because you're so tired majority of the time. But then the bust phase is when your nervous system hits a hard wall. Example, the next day, where literally, or even hours later, your symptoms flare up dramatically. Tremors worsen, brain fogs roll in, weakness sets in, and you spend 3 days in bed recovering. So this is where, for example, myself, I could go away and do work trips and travel, etc., and make it through that process. But it really is kind of pushing through, and it is effortsome in way of focusing in, really anchoring myself in and committing to what I'm doing. But then when I get home, my body knowing that I've made it home and that I can finally rest, it's like the whole body collapses. And so it's a real kind of important strategy to have when you have FND, that you really do make sure that you shift this mentality around your schedule. Number one, making sure that you kind of space things out. Make sure that you have a baseline. Understand what you can handle versus what is going to be a stretch. That's equally the same with your symptoms, knowing what your triggers are and preparing for them. Really important. Setting yourself up for success is really about putting together a plan, always having that planned approach. Always make sure, number two, that you are also setting up regular, non-negotiable rest periods. It's so important to not wait until you're utterly exhausted. It's like waiting for your car to run out of fuel or energy before you actually go and get what you need. Make sure that you set yourself up with regular kind of rest breaks, literally unplugging yourself from your socials, from your computer. Making regular 10-minute intervals of rest throughout your day can honestly make a huge difference in being able to make it through the day. Number three is really about, what was number three? I even forgot number three, about different exertion. So by that I mean, honestly, energy and the effort that something takes isn't just physical. Like I said earlier on, that brain capacity and oversensory as well as physical. Yes, doing physical activity is gonna take a lot of energy. But then same is when you're spending time on your socials or you're reading things or you're actively doing something with your brain, that also consumes energy. And so it's really important that you're also managing your sensory energy repositories as well as your physical and your cognitive. Now, the other areas that I wanted to cover off was really about making sure that you're taking the time out. Surround yourself with people that also help as part of that process. Some of the things where I used to be able to go out and I could go out all day and be at a work event and then go out for dinner and then repeat again the next day, or we'll be at a social outing and then I'll have a family outing. Those days are gone. And so really it's important that people understand what your limitations are now as well. What it is for you to be able to be out and have the energy to do so. Energy is such a precious commodity when you have functional neurological disorder or any chronic illness, to be quite honest. I never understood what fatigue could be like I do now. Like your whole body just shuts down. And surrounding yourself with people that actually understand that and support you through that process is really important. A great example of that is, I often will, by the time I've gotten to a place, I sometimes need to have a rest. And sometimes that means a nap. I've gone to a friend's house or a family person's house, and I've been so exhausted in the trip there, or it's mid-afternoon and it's actually around the time because I've done errands throughout the day, where I will actually ask, can I have a lie down? Can I please take time out and just lie down for a minute? And then I take a half an hour kind of rest on their couch. This is normal. This is the way in which you are able to make it through. FND is a different lifestyle. You do have a brain disorder. Functional neurological disorder is different for everyone, but I guarantee you that fatigue factor is, oh my God, it is lethal. And so really starting to understand that, similar to the way in which your symptoms are flared up and those triggers, it's really important to really try and set some time up and set yourself up for success as part of that process. And of course, having our beautiful furry friends, holy cow. If I did not have Micro, I don't know what I would do. Every time I go down for a nap, He knows, and he will come and he will sit and lie down with me. He's incredible. You know, this is where assistive animals and pets are an incredible part of the new chronically ill journey. I think this is where it's really important to not only surround yourself by amazing people, but having amazing furry friends is another. I love Micro. Honestly, he's like my sensory kind of relaxation and snuggler. I could just snuggle with him all the time. Him and my wee pack, I think I'd be good. Tackle myself. Now, to understand the medical explanation is what they call, often referred to as, there's a glitch in your brain. Now, when you think about what happens to your computer or smartphone when the software program crashes in the background, the processor kind of overheats, the fan kicks out, the battery drains and mutes. That's kind of your nervous system with FND. Really, it's automatic tasks that the healthy brain handles effortlessly, like balancing, filtering sensory inputs, coordinating muscle movement, hyper-focus neutral effort. Your brain is running a marathon just to keep the operating system kind of moving forward. And this has been something challenging specifically for me because I actually started going back to the gym again. And I've been going 3 weeks with my hubby and son, and I've really started to do the whole weight training again versus a lot of cardio and full body training that I've been doing. But as a result, my body's in a bit of shock. You know, back to the gym 3 times a week where for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I'm doing weights and I am in an area that is heavily sensory overload. There's music, there's lots of people, there's lots of machines, and I have to really focus in after I've done a full day at work as well. So how do we break the cycle of boom bust? I'm going to cover 3 types of approach that you can try. Number 1, the 50% rule. On a great day, when you feel 100% capable of doing an hour chore, cut it in half. Do 30 minutes. Do 30 minutes and bank the rest of that energy so that your system starts to baseline healing. So again, on those days that you wake up and you're ready to take on the world, use half that energy and bank the rest. You know, do 30 minutes versus an hour. Do an hour outing versus a 2-hour outing. Number 2, activity chunking. Never do high demand tasks in the one continuous block. Break down tasks into micro units, separating by mandatory rest. So again, taking the opportunity to break things down rather than doing something in its entirety, do a third, do a half. Don't do the whole thing. Break it down into chunks so that it is far more manageable. I often try and do everything just to get it out of the way. Sit, 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 sit. Micro sit. Just so that I can get it out of the way, but that's not the right approach. Okay, number 3, traffic light system. Green is your baseline stable. You can perform to really understand why FND exhausts you thoroughly. I wanted to kind of articulate what kind of normal kind of brain nervous system functions are on autopilot. So automatically, the way that your body does things automatically, when you have functional neurological disorder, that doesn't happen as easily anymore. It's far more of a effortsome process. What a normal person's nervous system functions on autopilot like, you filter out background restaurant noise, maintaining postural balance while standing, coordinating alternative leg movements while walking, stabilizing vision when turning your head. I can't tell you how many times I forget how to walk or randomly lose my balance, or I'm in a restaurant and I feel like I'm going to throw up because of the noise is so loud and visually I'm so unbalanced with everything that's going on so much around me. Now, with FND, the brain's predictive coding and filtering mechanisms are altered. The autopilot is offline. It really does require a lot more manual override. So think about driving a manual car versus an automatically. If you are consciously calculating the clutch, the gears, the shift, every time that you're trying to move the car, the fuel is burnt like 3 times the normal rate. And this is like with FND. You aren't just moving, you are manually overriding communication glitches between the brain and the body. So your central nervous system is running at about 100%, if not 120% at the central processing capacity, and literally just sitting on the sofa. So one of the biggest mistakes that people have is really around what burns energy. Number one, physical. Everybody knows that muscle kind of doing physical work really does burn through energy. Muscle weakness, limb heaviness, spasms, motor control failure, where your body literally refuses to carry out physical commands, that burns energy. If you are having a functional seizure, you're burning energy. If you are struggling with your vision, you're struggling to walk. Then we also have the cognitive, the brain fog. That slowed processing speed, word finding difficulty, inability to make simple decisions, memory drops. You're simply running, like I said, at about 120%. You're running out of bandwidth physically and mentally. Sensory overload. This one is a given all the time. Really getting oversensitive around lighting, the sound. It is literally like a sensory gate is wide open and it is flooding in to your brain of all this signaling that's coming in really fast and loud and overwhelming. Lastly, that emotional drain. It really does come from being stuck in a chronic fight or flight state, often accompanied by that heart rate, temperature dysregulation, or intensive emotional vulnerability. So when I'm emotional, everything goes sideways. I've talked about this. When I get in a situation, it's almost like my whole body gets into an overflux, and then all my symptoms go out the window when I get over emotional with things. Now, the big thing for me to help regulate a lot of the time is sleeping. Taking a nap, that kind of helps me recalibrate. But it doesn't work all the time. At nighttime, last night I had the best night's sleep, but then I woke up and I genuinely felt like I had been hit by a truck. And it's this autonomic mismatch that the nervous system is frequently disaligned. And really, it doesn't make sense because there is that glitch inside my body. And instead of cycling through smooth, deep, slow wave restorative sleep and REM sleep, the nervous system micro-arousal constantly. So it's constantly twitching. It's constantly doing things that a normal body wouldn't necessarily do. And your body isn't resting. Sorry, your nervous system isn't resting as it should be. Okay, guys, I've covered quite a bit today. I hope that you found it helpful. Really, it isn't about giving up on life. It's really trying to reclaim your life again and finding a way that works for you and navigating through the challenges that FND can really spring on you in the way that life is now. I just had to show you my little fishy pond, and my fish's name is Jerry. Jerry, Jerry. Let's see if Jerry will come out and say hello to us. Micro is my absolute furry little one, but also Jerry is a new member of our family. Jerry, Jerry, there he is. Look, look, there he is. That's Jerry. Hello, Jerry. Hello, Jerry. I think I'm gonna have to feed Jerry because I've brought him up and he's like, "Where's my food?" No, it's not you, Bubby. I know. All right, Jerry, we're gonna feed you.